Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Mad Science Lab on the Fantasy Football Universe. I am Aaron St. Dennis. Find me at FF Mad Scientist. Joined today for a Buffalo Bills preview with Dustin Ludke at I can't even see down there. What's it?
The D Unit
13. I never remember yours. I always pronounce it the 900 different ways that it's never the right.
A lot of people say done it, but that's all right. It's all the same.
I thought it was who done it at first, and then I was like, oh, it says D. Yeah, okay, it doesn't make any sense. I'm lost every time, but how's it going, man?
It's going good, man. I'm looking forward to the season starting. We got training camps pretty much started, kind of kicking off this week. We got some rolling in, so I'm excited to get some more football news and actual action, so we're not just talking about hypotheticals. But I think it's a good time of year to look at teams like you're doing, investigate the situations, who's a buy, who's an avoid, see what the team's going to do this year, and I think that's where we're at this part of the offseason.
Yeah, analyze each team so we can get to training camp and it all goes to shit and we have to analyze it again in a month.
Yep.
Awesome. All right, well, before we get into it, you want to tell everyone where they can find you and your work?
Yeah, the best place to find me is on Twitter at the DUnit13. I'm the content director over at dynastyprosfootball.com, so you can check out some of my stuff there. I've been doing a lot less writing lately, doing a lot more behind-the-scenes stuff, but that's the place you can find me is Twitter. That's where you'll find anytime I guest on a pod like this, or if I do post an article, or if I come up with a new system. I just released a new metric of sorts that came out called the Browse System a couple weeks ago, so that's on my Twitter. I started a Patreon for it, or so you can find it as part of the Dynasty Pro subscription. So it's a good kind of consistency best ball metric for people out there.
I hear you there. I find during the off season I do a lot. I do some a lot of the rookie profiles, but once my rookie profiles are done, it's all videos and editing. I don't really do a whole lot of what else is there to write? The same articles, and once the draft is gone, there's not much there.
Yeah, I mean it's making my cases for certain players. So I got a couple articles I've been kicking around, but it's just not there's no deadline. So it's not like I have to get it done by this Friday. It's like, hey, if I get it done this week, next week, it's all the same because nothing really changes from here on out.
I feel like I go to my WordPress and there's like 70 drafts in there with just things I have on the go, and I'm slowly starting and preparing, and it's like there's no deadline. You're right, so it's just kind of a big clusterfuck. So,
and that's the best time of year for like us as content creators to kind of take some breath. I was on vacation last week, kind of just decompress a little bit, get some free time with the family, do some other stuff besides football content, and then get ready for the grind come August.
Oh joy, that's the best. All right, let's get into it. We are going to start Buffalo Bills here. Let's start with the quarterback room. Some of them are difficult to assess. This is not. We have last year's QB1, Josh Allen, Mitchell Trubisky, and Shane. I don't know. How do you even say that?
Bushel, I believe it is.
Not going to play anyway, so it doesn't matter. So if anyone besides Josh Allen plays, something has gone horribly wrong. Still QB1 for you in your rankings? What do you think?
He is. Redraft and dynasty, no. I have a little bit of fear about his durability and injury risk this season and next season. He's at the hit level between sacks and carries where we start seeing QBs miss time. So I'm projecting he's going to miss a couple more games this year, maybe 3, maybe 4. So I'm a little worried about it. I'm still taking him, like say in Scott Fishbowl, because I want to have him because I don't have him in the league. But he's just had a little more risk for me. So I'd rather have a Jalen Hurts or a Lamar Jackson or even a Patrick Mahomes in redraft this year. Dynasty, I can see you still going Josh Allen 1, but I think redraft, I'm moving him down. Same tier. If I'm choosing between the two, I'm taking someone who I feel is a little more safer.
Oh, I don't know what you're talking about. He's well known for avoiding contact, right? It's not like he goes out of his way to make contact.
Yeah, I mean, just he'll just leap over him, and that doesn't put you in harm's way at all.
Yeah, not much to debate there. I think I have him. He's my 1 in pretty much every format right now. I think you're right in Dynasty. He may not be my 1, but in redraft, I have him over everyone. I think I even took him over Hurts because I get it. Hurts hasn't taken as much contact, but I don't think Hurts is much safer. I take Mahomes over him in Dynasty. I think Mahomes is much safer, obviously, but I'm even at the point where I consider Stroud a bit. The other one was for Scott Fishbowl purposes. I think right now it's Hurts and Allen for me, but the one who's also in there is I've got Lamar and A-Rich in there. I find those are the interesting 4 because this year I was looking at it when I did my projections for Scott Fishbowl. My first round, I think, only had like 3 or 4 quarterbacks in the top 12, and it was those 4 because the scoring it's nerfed for non-rushing quarterbacks.
It really is, and we're going to see it. Now, if you do mock drafts, you see them all going, first, second round. They've been dropping a little bit. There was a tweet by someone that came out basically said, 90 return yards for Marvin Mims is equal to 3 touchdowns and 300 yards for Joe Burrow. Point-wise, which it makes sense, and that's why Scott Fish does this to see these things. And I think we're going to see quarterbacks fall. I don't go into Scott Fish Bowl trying to win. I go into Scott Fish Bowl to have fun and connect with people.
Yeah.
So I took the 101 because I want to make sure I get Josh Allen. Obviously, that was before scoring was announced. So I was like, hey, I'm just going to get the 101, make sure I lock up Josh Allen, and then we'll go from there.
See, I took the 105, and my rationale was I want one of the 4 quarterbacks I just named or CMC. So 105 guarantees me one of the 5 I want.
That is the way to do it. I said I want Josh Allen. Was doing a live draft here in Madison. Was like 101's available in one of the divisions. Let me just take it. Make sure I get my guy. I have no Josh Allen in any of my leagues, any of my dynasty leagues. So I was like, let me just get him in one league so I know I have him so I can root for him. Even though if I was trying to win, it would not be the pick.
All right, well, let's move on. It doesn't get much more competitive at running back. We've got James Cook, who was RB9 last year, followed by the rookie Ray Davis out of Kentucky, Ty Johnson, Frank Gore Jr., also a rookie out of Southern Miss, Darrington Evans, and Reggie Gilliam. I know I've seen a lot of people say they think Ray Davis could cut in and be the early downs kind of thumper here. How do you see this shake out?
I think Ray Davis will take the Latavius Murray role from last year. And I think he's slightly better. Let's say he's 10% more better than Latavius Murray. That gives him, Latavius Murray had 79 carries, so he's going to take maybe 80, 90 carries. I don't know if he gets to the 100 carry mark. He's big. He's 230 pounds or 220 pounds, I think Ray Davis is. Latavius Murray was 230. Now, Murray was also 6'3", and Ray Davis is 5'8", so he might be the goal line back. He might vulture some touchdowns. I'm not worried about it. The only concern for me is James Cook does fumble and drop the ball, so he might get in McDermott's doghouse for a game or two, and Ray Davis could jump up. And that's been, talking to some other friends who are Bills fans, that's been the concern. I don't see him cutting into the massive workload. Even if you take 10% away from James Cook, you're still looking at 200, and he had 237. If you take 23 carries, you're looking at 210, 220 carries for James Cook. It's still really good volume. He's a good pass catcher, 54 targets last year. Maybe that drops a little bit. Maybe it goes up because the wide receiver room is kind of iffy. I'm not worried about Ray Davies. Ty Johnson for Scott Fish Bowl, I think, is the kick return guy. And I know people are hyped on Khalil Shakir, but I think it's going to be Ty Johnson if you're in Scott Fish Bowl.
RB 14 by ADP, 16 by ECR. Is he an RB2 for you, or does he make it into your top 12?
James Cook, I think he's a top 12 for me.
Okay, I feel like he's the top 12 for me. There's a couple of guys that I'm sure that are in that 12 to 15 range that I don't like as much as ECR, so I feel like I'd be the same way.
The spike in volume we saw with Joe Brady at the end of the season is a reason why I think people are, like me, are bullish on James Cook, because he's going to see more carries than he did early last season.
Well, and that and the wide receiver room was completely gutted, so we'll get to that.
Yes.
Your wide receiver 1 appears to be Curtis Samuel.
No.
I would argue it's more likely maybe Keon Coleman. If you're a Keon Coleman believer, he's the rookie out of
Michigan. I got on my jersey. You just got my Keon Coleman jersey?
Do you? Is that you got it on the wall behind you? Oh no, you're wearing it.
I'm wearing it. Got the 0.
Did he pick 0? That looks so weird.
Yeah, it does look weird.
All right, so Samuel, Keon Coleman, Khalil Shakir, MVS, excuse me, Mac Hollins, Chase Claypool, KJ Hamler, Justin Shorter, Andy Isabella. So there's some names here, some players who have had fantasy relevance once upon a time. Not really a star that jumps out. Do you think anybody here becomes fantasy relevant?
I'm still buying Khalil Shakir. The big question I keep hearing from certain analysts and who say he's going to bust is his slot role is not going to be defined. And, Curtis Samuel's going to be the slot guy. I don't care who's the slot guy for the Bills because the slot guy is not important. I want to know who's going to be the wide receiver too. I think Keon Coleman's the one. I actually think he plays the Gabe Davis always on the outside role. I think Shakir on 2 wide receiver sets is going to be Coleman and Shakir. And then in 3 wide receiver sets, Curtis Samuel goes on the outside. Shakir does what Gabe Davis or what Stephon Diggs did and moves into the slot on 3 receiver sets. So I'm all in on Khalil Shakir, especially at his ADP. He's the guy I want. I don't think Curtis Samuel's that good. I think he knows Brady's system from 4 years ago. if he's running the same offense as 4 years ago, but that's an issue, I think he's a fine receiver as a wide receiver 3. I think Shakir is the clear wide receiver 2 who's going to benefit from Keon Coleman. Dalton Kincaid is going to take some slots. I'm not super high on Dalton Kincaid, never have been. I'm all in on Khalil Shakir, and I'm not buying Curtis Samuel at all. I'll take Keon Coleman at his ADP, but not too much hard. MVS, Matt Collins, Claypool, Hamler, no, just they're not worth having.
Yeah, I think I agree. I'm going to have some shots here. I'm going to take on Coleman and Shakir late enough. I guess if it gets late enough, I don't so much want him in Dynasty, but late enough, I'd probably take a shot on Curtis Samuel. I think the most interesting for me feels like Keon Coleman feels like the most upside for me. I think Shakir's probably the most likely to be fantasy relevant this year, but I feel like Coleman could really be onto something. I get it. He's bigger guy, rookie, so there's potential, but I guess we'll have to wait and see. I guess the most crowded room is the tight end room here. We've got Dalton Kincaid, who is going insanely high in all formats for a guy who didn't really do much last year. Tight end 17. Dawson Knox, Quentin Morris, and Zach Davidson. I like Dalton Kincaid, but I'm pretty sure if I remember correctly, Dawson Knox isn't exactly being fed peanuts. So he's going to be on the field at some point. And I don't hate Kincaid. I just think where he's going, you're drafting him at his ceiling. So I don't have a lot of shares of him. I just think he's too expensive.
Yeah, I'm not buying Kincaid, and I wasn't buying him last year. Now, you can say, oh, he's the slot guy. Again, the Bills slot guy, you have to go back to 2021, before Ken Dorsey was actually the offensive coordinator. He was the QB's coach, where their slot guy actually managed roles. After that, 2022, 2023, the slot guy under Ken Dorsey was kind of a hodgepodge of players. Tight end, Shakir, they listened, Isaiah McKenzie, all these other guys. Dawson Knox is still there. In the games where Dawson Knox played early in the season, they were pretty equal. There was games where they were within 2 points, almost every game where they were within 2 fantasy points of each other. Now,
does Buffalo run a lot of 12 personnel? I feel like they do.
They somewhat. I think it's pretty even. It's pretty average. The problem is, if you look at the snaps that Kincaid, everybody's going to go, oh, Kincaid got the second highest snap percentage out of tight ends. Cool. A lot of his targets come from when he's closer in line. He's not a true slot. He's actually what I call like a tight slot. He's very close to the line of scrimmage. He's not really in the slot. He's just kind of there. He's maybe not down on all 3-point stance, but he's really close to the line. I don't know how they register it as in terms of slot or in line. But Knox is still there. He's not going anywhere. He's going to eat into the production. The games where they played, neither of them was fantasy relevant. It took the games where Knox was out that Kincaid really broke out, and everybody's going to say, well, Joe Brady's going to do it, and talent wins out. Draft capital, none of that matters. At the end of the day, they're going to play a system that works for them. Knox has Josh Allen's trust. He's been around for a while. They signed him to a long-term deal last year. I still think Kincaid is being overly drafted. I agree. You're drafting him at his ceiling. Finish somewhere, tight end 17 to tight end 11 somewhere. You're drafting him now as what?
Exactly. 17.
So now you're drafting him as what?
At 5.
Are you saying he's going to be better than, so we've got Travis Kelce?
Nope.
Sam Laporta?
No.
Mark Andrews?
Nope.
I mean, Evan Ingram?
Nope. No.
I mean, is he better than George Kittle?
Probably not when Kittle's healthy.
People are all about Brock Bowers. Is he going to do more than Brock Bowers? I personally think so, because I think Brock Bowers is not that great with Michael Mayer. But there's just too many other tight ends I'd rather have, especially where you have to draft Kincaid. I'm out, and I'll probably never have Kincaid.
Yep, I could not have said it better myself. I like I said, I don't hate the player. I hate the ADP. So
yeah, I hate the ADP, and everybody goes draft capital and athleticism. Cool. What'd that do for you last year? What games were you excited about starting Dalton Kincaid last year? The weeks that Dawson Knox was out, where he scored 15, 17, 16, 16, 10, and then was 6, 9, 2, 6, 3 before that. After that, 7, 0, 1, 12, 15.
So the next question was going to be a target and a void at ADP. I'm going to just go ahead and write Kincaid down for your void. So at ADP, who's your target then on this team?
It's for me, it's still Shakir. Yeah, I think he's going to be the guy. I'll take a shot at James Cook if he falls. If I can pick James Cook as my RB2 on my team, let's say I start my draft with a redraft with, let's say, a Christian McCaffrey or a Bijan early on, and then I can get a wide receiver in the second, I could get James Cook in the third, I'm okay with that.
I agree. Let's see. So the next up, we've got the schedule. So I am going to go through and get the stupid ad out of the way. I am going to name the game for you, and you just tell me win or loss, and we'll see what you have projected. I think we're 6 episodes in, and I've done it with a home fan of each team. And did you know that with the exception of one team, every team in the NFL is going to be 12 wins this year?
Of course.
Apparently, there's no bad teams according to the home analysts.
Of course not.
We'll start with home against the Cardinals.
I'm going to say that's a loss.
Ooh, I didn't see that coming.
We generally start the season really slow.
On the road against the Dolphins.
I'm going to say that's a win.
Home to the Jags.
Win.
At Baltimore.
Loss.
At Houston.
Loss.
Ooh. At the Jets.
Win.
Home against Tennessee.
Win.
At Seattle.
Win.
Home to Miami.
Win.
At Indy.
This is the tough one, and I think that's going to be a loss.
Oh, see, I didn't think that one was. I like
Houston. It's tough. It is really tough. I think it's just a tough stretch there.
I thought at Houston was tougher than at Indy.
I just think
Houston. You took them. I meant at the Jets because you took the Jets. I think the at Jets was more likely a loss than at Indy. But so you went with a loss at Indy. You said
yes.
Okay. Home to KC.
Loss.
All right. At San Fran.
Coming off the bye, I think it's a win.
Okay. At the Rams.
Win.
At the Lions.
Loss.
Home to the Patriots.
Win.
Home to the Jets.
Win.
Wow, they hit the Patriots again on the road. There's a win.
That's a win.
You have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Oh, so you weren't a 12-win team. You picked them at 11. Right now, according to that, they're second last in the AFC, according to the people who've done this show, because 11-6 is probably the second worst.
They have a really tough schedule with, Baltimore, Houston, Indy, KC, San Fran. I mean, if the Rams are good, look at that. San Fran, LA, Detroit is a killer schedule. And then we get those last 3 home games, which I think are wins. So I could see it, if a couple things go their way, we don't play in London or overseas this year, which is a help. So it's not a great schedule for them.
All right. Well, thank you for joining me, Dustin. Before we get out of here, you want to take another chance to plug yourself and everywhere you work.
Yeah, find me at Twitter at the D Unit, so THEDUNIT 13. It's the best place to find me. You can find my work over at dynastyprosfootball.com. Thanks for having me on, Aaron.
Yeah, man, it's always great chatting with you. I've had you on a few times. We work well together, so it's nice, calm, relaxing, easy show to go. I love your background too. You really
thank you.
Mine's all over the place with fictional football players, but
eventually, if I get some more jerseys, I'm gonna make it more NFL and then do a second one that's more Bills related, so I can kind of do the two. So
nice. Well, thank you for joining me. If you guys would like to see any of the team pages, we have schedules, we have last year's rankings, offense and defensive depth charts, and our little widget here with the weather that will be updated. It's literally a live weather widget that gets updated. So when games come around, if you need, kicker updates, what kind of weather, go there for that. It's all at fantasyfootballuniverse.com. Check back tomorrow. We have SC with the Texans. Thank you to Dustin for joining me, and thank you all for tuning in. Take care. Have a great night.